Hello guys, welcome back. It's my last video in this sitting in this outfit. Again, batch recording videos. What can you do? Today's video, what are we gonna be doing? I'm gonna be showing you all of the books on my physical TBR for the year of 2025 thus far. See how many books we have, how far along we can get in reading them this year. See if we bring that number down, if that number gets larger before the end of the year, because as you can see from here, this is the video after doing my book haul, my second one from January, because I can't stop buying books. So let's jump into it. We got a lot of books to look through. We got a lot of things to go through. I'm gonna just stack them up in front of me and their different categories and what I think the categories are for them. And we're just gonna run through, what do I have? What do we need to read? Am I excited about it? Am I gonna keep it? Do I need to unhaul this book? Let's look at it. Okay, y'all. I've stacked them in what I think are the right stacks. I don't know. I have a lot of horror books. I have a lot of fantasy books. But also, maybe I don't have a lot of fantasy. Maybe the books are just really fat. We got some thrillers, a lot of young adult / kid books, which is kind of interesting. And then some other books I didn't really know what category to put them in. So I think we'll probably start there because I'm not 100% sure what these books are, where they fit. But as we go through these stacks, I am going to put up my iPad here, get my calculator out. No. You're gonna knock over all my stacks. Burbies, do not. So we can try and keep track of how many books we have here. Again, more books with stickers on them, which is annoying. Yeah, that's not coming off. Okay, so my first stack is books that I don't really know what section they should go in. First is a classic. We have Wuthering Heights. I have started this at one point, never finished it. So we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I really want to get into more classic Gothic literature. It's not for me though, I'm not gonna lie to you. I read Haunting on Hill House and was underwhelmed, to say the least. And I don't know that I'm gonna be any more whelmed by Wuthering Heights, but we will see. The next book I have is a literary fiction, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I've heard a lot of things about this. I really want to read this and see what I think about it. I know a lot of people rate this book highly, so I would love to read that. Then we have two books that I don't really know where they belong in what categories, so yeah, I don't know. But we've got Let Us Descend by Jasmine Ward. I got this from Book of the Month back in 2023. Still have not read it. Need to read this book. But really excited for this one. I want to read more books like this, and I honestly should have this on my TBR for this month because it's Black History Month. But hey, Black History is every day, not just February, at least for me. And then we have the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, which was the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year, I believe, for last year. I don't really 100% know what this is about, but I saw it on the shelf. Everyone was raving about it at Barnes. They were telling me I need to get it, so I got it. Probably was swindled into this. I don't know if I'll ever read this book, if I'm being 100% honest. Nothing about this book sounds interesting, but I think that's going to be a goal, is to actually try and read this book this year. Whether I DNF it or not is a different story, but we have this book. So that's 4 in my random stack of books. My next stack is my manga anime books. So we've got 3 books. Ooh, 3 books in this stack. My child is crying. I'm sorry if y'all can hear her. She's with her dad though. She's not alone. So we've got Monster, which I have started reading but never finished. We've got PTSD Radio. I keep holding these the wrong direction. We've got PTSD Radio Volume 1. I really want to read this. So that's going to be something I actually put on my books that I want to read in 2025 list, is definitely going to be this. And then the last book I have is a Junji Ito. Suchi, I believe is how you say it. I have a bunch of Junji Ito books that I've already read. So this is the only one that's left on my TBR as of right now. I didn't want to buy any more until I read this one. So we'll read this at some point this year, I'm sure. The next section is short story collections. And we have 2 books in that set. They are horror. So we have Chuck Wendig, The Book of Accidents. And then we have Eric LaRocca's The Trees Grew Because I Bled There. I actually have started this and was not all that impressed with it, to be honest, which upset me because a lot of people like Eric LaRocca, and I want to be one of those girlies. Y'all know this about me. I want to participate. I want to be in on it. I want to be one of the girls too. And I just couldn't get into it. And I don't know if it's this book. I don't know if it was the time that I was reading it, because I am a mood reader, so that's possible. But I have 2 short story collections, had these for a long time, need to read them. The next stack of books is a large stack, and this is gonna be my young adult stack. So we'll add a few at a time as we go. I don't really want to talk about this book, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. We have Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I got this before all the controversy stuff popped off recently. I wasn't on the side of book anything to know about the controversies before I got this book. I'm disappointed in having this book. I honestly don't want it, and I don't really want to read it now that I know about what's going on with this author and the awful, terrible, nasty, disgusting things that he is a part of, and I don't support them. I don't support him, but I had this already. Coraline is one of my favorite movies, but that's also problematic because of Tim Burton, because he's also problematic. Surprise, surprise, two problematic men coming together. Who would have seen it? But we have Coraline. Moving on to better, brighter things. I have the 3 books in the Amari series. So we have Amari and the Night Brothers, Amari and the Great Game, and then Amari and the Despicable Wonders. Is that it? Yeah, Despicable Wonders. So we've got the 3-book series here. I got all of these because I heard from a lot of people that this series is kind of like almost equivalent to / potentially better version of a Harry Potter, but with people of color and more diversity involved. So wanted to try and read the series and see how I feel about it. And then we have another series here that I want to read that is the Small Spaces series. Y'all have seen this in a recent book haul, but we have the Small Spaces, Dead Voices, Dark Waters, and Empty Smiles. Really, really want to read this series. It sounds like fun. Okay, so we have some more young adult books. We've got Scott Westerfeld's Uglies from the Pretty series. Ugly series, I don't know what the version that we're calling that is, but this is Uglies. I actually read this series when I was in middle school and I really, really loved it. So I wanted to pick it back up and reread it and see if I still find it as exciting. They recently released the first movie of the set on Netflix for Uglies. So if you haven't watched it, it's worth a watch. Laverna Cox is in it. Love her. She's awesome. So I watched it. I thought it was okay, but I remember the books being so much better than what I saw in the movie. So really want to reread this again at some point. The next book I have is Divergent. I got this because I've never read this before. Ever. Not one time. So this is one of the series that I plan to read this year, young adult books that I never got to. And then we have Don't Let the Forest In. I got this recently. I've seen this in a recent book haul. Excited to read this as well. The next series is a series I've had since I was in middle school, actually. I started the first one, found out they had the second 2, I think probably like 2 years later, got the other 2 and never read them. I read the first one and never read the second 2. So I want to read these at some point, but this is the Merciless series. I remember loving book 1 and thinking that it was the creepiest thing I've ever read. It kind of reminds me, if I'm remembering correctly, again, this was years ago, it reminded me of Jennifer's Body vibes when I read it. Obviously, I don't think Jennifer's Body was out at the time that I read it. So it came before that, but I want to read this whole series. I want to reread it again. So I have the 3-book series for that. We have The Taking of Jake Livingston, also a young adult. We have the 3 remaining books in the Hunger Games series that I need to read. So Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I know that the next book is coming out, I believe, this year in this series too. So I'll probably pick that one up as well at some point, but I have those 3 to read also. And then the last 2 in my young adult stack are House in the Cerulean Sea and Somewhere Beyond the Sea. I got these because I've heard a lot of people talk about how good they were, and honestly they looked really cute and fun and like just a good time. They're like special editions from Barnes too, with the soft covers. So I got these. I want to read them. I thought they sounded fun. I truly love young adult books. I think they're so much fun. I just like to have a fun time, and so I have a lot of them. Our next stack is what I'm calling the thriller stack. So first book we have is The Clinic. I think this cover looks so beautiful. Like, guys, that's so stunning. You can't tell, like, oh my gosh, so stunning. Is it good? Don't know, but want to read it. Then we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I've never read a Riley Sager book, but this is the one that I was recommended by Possessed by Horror, which is one of my favorite YouTubers. She read this and said it was like one of her favorite books, and so I want to read it and see if it holds up. Then I have The Truth. This book I have had for years. I'm telling y'all, for years. I'm pretty sure I got this from Half Price Books like 5 or 6 years ago. I've had it for so long, never read it. We have The Night Circus. Low-key, y'all, I'm probably never going to read this book because it doesn't sound interesting to me one single bit. Everyone loves it from what I hear. I don't know if this is for me, but we have The Night Circus. Next up, we have End of Story by AJ Finn. I literally only bought this because I read The Woman in the Window and loved that book so much. So I picked up this one when it came out. Haven't heard anyone talk about it. Don't know if it's good. Next we have No One Can Know. Don't know what it's about. Never read it. Never even read the synopsis of it. Got it from Book of the Month because it was one of their thrillers. That's it. That's the story. This is from December of 2023. Then we have The God of the Woods. I do want to read this. I got this in Book of the Month before everybody started raving about it because the cover, I mean, look at that pink drip. First of all, I love the color pink. So beautiful. So I picked this up. This is a book that Books and Lala did for her Literally Dead book club. So I do want to read it and go back and watch that video so I can see like everybody's thoughts and opinions on it. I have A Flicker in the Dark. I've heard great things about this book. Got this also from Book of the Month. Never read it. We've got Five Survive by Holly Jackson. I don't even know if I'm gonna like this book because the last Holly Jackson book I read, book 2 of Good Girl's Guide to Murder, was trash. Is this gonna be trash? Probably. The next book is one that I might be reading soon, but I got Murder Your Employer. This is so good. First of all, this cover is beautiful, just stunning, but also, yes, please. Yes, please. All right, on to our biggest stack of books is our horror books. I'm gonna blow through these as quickly as I can. We've got Leech. This cover also stunning. Jordaline recommended it. Looks delicious. Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. Never read of Rachel Harrison. Want to read it. Sounds interesting. We've got Exquisite Corpses. This was read by Spicy Cats. It was an extreme horror. I want to read it. House of Leaves. We've got Monstrilio. Want to read this. We've got The God of Endings. I don't know if I'm going to read this, but I have it. I believe it's a vampire book. We've got Interview with the Vampire. I want to read this. I love this series, trilogy, chronicle. I think she calls it a chronicle. I don't know. I love it. A Dowry of Blood, horror movie by Paul Tremblay. I love everything by Paul Tremblay. Will I like this? I don't know. I got this one, What Kind of Mother, because look at that cover. I want to read this so bad. We have Cuckoo. I started this, halfway through it, never finished it. It got really boring, but the movie's out and I want to read it so that I can watch the movie and compare the two. We've got Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House. I've heard not good things about this, so not sure how I'm going to feel about it. We have You Shouldn't Have Come Here. I've heard great things about this book, so definitely want to read that. We've got Now You're One of Us. Books and Lala hates it. Jordaline loved it. Who am I going to agree with? Nosferatu. I don't need to say anymore. This sounds delicious. Pallbearers Club, again by Paul Tremblay. Books and Lala loves this. I had started reading it. I got bored. Quit reading it. Will I finish it? Who knows? We've got Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I've heard great things about S.A. Cosby. I really want to read this book. I've had it since July of 2021. It's Black History Month. Do better. We've got The Coven. Don't know anything about it. We have episode 13. I really, really want to read this. Again, Possessed by Horror reviewed this in her January book review and said it was the best book ever. I really, really want to read this. William. This is a new book. It's about AI. I Was a Teenage Slasher. A book that Books and Lala recommends. Brainworms. A book recommended by Spicy Cats. Bunny, also recommended by Books and Lala. These next two are Every House is Haunted and The Elric Undoing. Realized Paul Tremblay had something to do with this book. He has a blurb in it or something. I'm gonna read both of these. Final horror book is Home is Where the Bodies Are. Planning to read that soon, but we have that one. Okay, so we have 26 horror books. The next stack we have is going to be our fantasy stack. So we have the first two books, I believe, in the Crescent City series from Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if I'm ever going to read these because Gavin Reads It All read the last one. He said it was trash. And I trust him. I do. So we have these two. Don't know if I'll ever read them. We have Dragonfall. I started this. It's boring. I'm probably going to DNF this for real, for real. We've got Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Really want to read this. We've got The Shadow of the Gods by John Gaiman? I don't know. I want to read this. I have the third book in the Throne of Glass series. I do want to read this. And the rest of the series. I just don't own the rest of the series. We have Jasad Air, recommended by Olivia Reads a Latte. So I got it. She said it was amazing, so it has to be amazing. Also, look at that cover. So cool. Then we have books we did in our recent book haul. Air and Onyx Storm and Feybound and Babel, whatever. And then the last two are A Study in Drowning and Wool. I do want to read both of these. They sound awesome. So we have 13 fantasy books. Okay, last we have 2 more stacks. The next stack is the true crime stack. So we have The Killer Across the Table. I really want to read this. John Douglas is one of the original people from the behavioral science unit at the FBI. And I was really into that at one point. That's what I wanted to do as a career. Little fact about me. So want to read this. If You Tell. This is another true crime story. Never read it. And Hate Crime. This is about an event that happened here in Texas. I really want to read this. I've had all 3 of these books for over 5 years. So will I read them? I don't know. All right. So the last stack is going to be my nonfiction stack, which kind of those others fit in there too. But the nonfictions that I have are From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Daughtry. She's a YouTuber. She's the Ask a Mortician on YouTube. So I got her book, really want to read that. I have Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. I have The Private Life of the Brain. My sister got me this. What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat by Aubrey Gordon. She is one of the creators of a podcast that I listen to, so I got her book. And then lastly, we have The Girl with No Name. I actually tried to read this at one point and got like maybe a third of the way through and was really bored, so never finished that either. So anyway, that's the end of that stack. That is my stack of nonfiction. I actually do have more books, but they're like hidden around my room being used as like stacks for things to be held on top of. So I have some books in this cabinet over here that are about Wiccan magic and things like that. I have a book about Freud. I have some more books about death. So I do have some other nonfictions around my house that I do want to read as well at some point. So we also have those, but for the sake of this, I'm just not going to count those. So in total, we have 89 books on our TBR. That's a lot of books. I don't think I'll get through them. I don't even usually read 50 books in a year. So we'll see how it goes. But that is my entire physical TBR for 2025. Do you think I'll be able to read all of them? If I keep up this YouTube thing, maybe I can. But also, I think that number is going to grow before the end of the year. We'll see how it goes. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this video. Did I show you any books that you've never seen before that you'd be interested in reading? Are there any books you'd like to know more about? I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you read some of these books and you also think that I would like them? Let me know. Let's chat about it in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow me over on my Instagram. I talk about all things books there and just general life stuff as well. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye!